lastly, one of the other prominent features of Republican politics is to make it harder for people to vote, particularly people who are black or brown to vote. And in Tennessee, they've come up with a really new, innovative way of inhibiting new voters from voting. And that is to introduce severe penalties, not just civil, but criminal penalties. If you go out and you're an organization that goes out and registers people, you submit these registrations to the Secretary of State through, local election boards and whatnot, and they vet them. They vet these registrations. And in this instance, if they find that if you have deficient signatures or addresses, right? Anywhere from 100 to 500 deficient voter registration applicants. So maybe they're incomplete. Hey, you didn't put your full address here. Or maybe it's incorrect information. You don't live here anymore. There are times, I'm sure, when you hire people, they go out and they say, oh, yeah, I got, look at all these voters I registered, and they filled it in themselves. Or maybe people come up and they lie to you. Or maybe you just messed up. You could be hit with fines from $150 to $2,000. If you submit more than 500 deficient forms, a fine of up to $10,000. And violating any of those rules intentionally and knowingly would constitute a Class A misdemeanor, which is this most serious misdemeanor. And if you listen, we had that Tressie McMillan Cotton, I think was in the week of January 23rd. Around that time, we also had a interview with a professor about misdemeanors. Misdemeanors does not mean what you think it means. You can go to jail for up to almost 12 months and get a fine of $2,500, criminal charges. And this legislation just passed the Tennessee House Republicans passed HB 1079, which is 6 months after the Tennessee Black Voter Project registered 90,000 new voters. And so there was some protests. Let's hear some.
Keep voter registration legal. Keep voter registration legal.
They are attempting to...
happening because of the efforts in 2018. The last thing our legislators want to see is a group of African American people inspiring other black and brown communities registered to vote.
Keep voter registration legal.
I was told by both the election commissioners in Nashville and in Memphis that all forms had to be turned in. And now he is using that as a way to penalize our efforts.
Keep voter registration legal. Right now. Keep voter registration legal.
Voter registration legal.
HB 1079 is modern day voter suppression.
The other party has a lot of pressure to vote for voter suppression.
We should always keep voter registration legal.
It's one of the worst bills that's been presented in the legislature this year.
To be clear, what that woman was saying is that when you get these forms, some of these entities will go through them and find like, oh, we've left the address blank here. Or, oh, there's no phone number. Or, oh, this is not the right zip code. Or, this looks suspicious. The Secretary of State told them to hand in all the forms, despite any flaws that they saw on the forms, so that they could come in and say, look at how many forms are flawed that they submitted. So this was a complete setup in that regard. But this is perfectly consistent with what we know of the Republican Party, from lawmakers in states to lawmakers on a federal level to the federal judiciary and the Supreme Court.